Was a clip from Mars Attack, directed by the man sitting next to me at the moment. He's the Sultan of Surreal, responsible for, among other films, Beetlejuice, Batman and Edward Scissorhands. He is, of course, movie legend Tim Burton. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning.
How are you feeling? Is it a good
little
morning?
Early for me, but I'm fine.
Good for you. Now listen, Mars Attack, it's doing well, isn't it? And it came from an odd source, didn't it, the inspiration? But let's tell us a story, mate.
Yeah, I'd like to say it was from a great novel, but it's from a series of trading bubble gum cards from the 60s.
Good.
You know, I think it's sort of a natural reaction against all the Jane Austen and Shakespeare movies that are being done at the time.
And didn't it start off as was it Dinosaur Attacks?
No, the original set of cards was Mars Attacks, and then they were banned actually in the early 60s for being too subversive for children, and then they there was another set of cards later on called Dinosaurs Attacks, which was by the same company, and but then they re-released the Mars Attacks one because times have changed, and again, by today's standard, they're very tame.
Right. Now, how did you go about pitching this to studio execs? We're talking about a B movie, a sort of classic kitsch movie, and a lot of money on it. Was it $80 million or something?
A little less, but we've still got some receipts from some lunches coming in, so I'm not quite sure what the final accounting figure is.
So how did you lay this one on the table to the bosses?
Well, that's pretty much it. I just laid the cards on the table, and you know, they. You know, I've been lucky because they never really know what I'm doing anyway, so that's somewhat saved me. But you know, I have had a good relationship with them, and they've sort of, you know, we're kind of one big happy dysfunctional family. You know, we kind of get things.
You get free reign now, do you, on your movies?
Well, so far, I mean, I may be on borrowed time, but so far, you know, so good. I'm actually personally amazed that when I, you know, look back that I was able to do the things that I was able to do. So you know, I try not to think too much about it because it seems kind of frightening. But,
screw you up.
Just keep moving along.
Absolutely. Now then, it's got a lot of big stars in it. Jack Nicholson, Danny DeVito, Pierce Brosnan. How do you manage to persuade all these stars to appear in your movies?
Well, I think in the last 20 years, Hollywood, you know, they say, well, you know, you can't kill this person, you can't kill that person. They've all been deprived of their death scene, so they got to have a death scene, which they all enjoyed, I think, and they got to act to imaginary little green men, which, you know, is not something that they get to do too often in their careers. So I think it was just another career sidestep for a lot of them.
Did you have to pay them a lot of money?
No, well, luckily, you know, I think because of the time, there wasn't a lot of time on the movie, and they just kind of did it to, you know, if they had a day off from some other things, and also I was lucky to get them, because I couldn't have done the movie if they'd gotten their fees, I think.
And a lot of them keep coming back for more, don't they? Jack Nicholson among others. So what is it about Tim Burton that attracts them to come back?
I don't know. You know, I worked with Jack once before, and you know, when I asked him if he would play a part, he said, "I'll play them all." You know, he was really into it. I don't know if he was like going back to his old like Roger Corman days, you know, when he was making those kind of horror films or whatever. But he's great, and
but he ends up playing two parts, doesn't he, in this film?
Yeah. He ended up playing two parts. So you know, I love working with him any chance I get. You know, when I first met him, it's like I talked to him for like hours, and it's like I left his house and I realized that I didn't understand what word we were talking about. So we kind of communicate on a somewhat abstract level, and but it's great.
Did you get nervous about meeting stars like Jack Nicholson for the first time? Because he's a lot older, isn't he?
You know what? I didn't, because I was in England actually, and I was like completely jet lagged, so I didn't really care about anything, you know, which was kind of great. I didn't feel like that pressure, and which I think helped me, and no, I was more nervous about meeting Tom Jones actually than I was.
Well, I was going to say, Tom Jones in the movie. What's that all about?
I just always liked his music, and I saw him in concert. It was like one of the best concerts I ever saw. And then I met him, and he's like really cool. And it was like I don't know if it's because he sang Thunderball in a James Bond movie, but he always seemed like an action adventure hero to me. You know, he's like got that in his personality that he can kind of do anything, you know. Like
there's a great bit in the movie where one of the characters says, "Can anybody fly a plane here?" And Tom goes, "Yeah, I can do it, no problem."
Well, that's it. You feel that in his personality. You feel like he's, you know, sing concert, fight Martians, fly a plane. You know, like he's got that kind of thing in that strength in his personality, which is great.
And round it all off with a rendition of "It's Not Unusual" as well to boot.
Yeah, he's you know.
Now, one of your other movies was about B-movie film director Ed Wood. Is Mars Attack the kind of film that he would have made?
Well, I definitely love that character of Ed Wood, and I think that's part of the reason why I did make this movie, is that I was very much caught up in his spirit. You know, I liked his enthusiasm for those kind of films, and I think it definitely had some sort of connection to doing this movie. Yeah,
But not an Angora sweater in sight.
Well, you don't know what I'm wearing under this, do you?
Now, the only actress, it appears, that didn't have a gruesome mask on in this film was Lisa Marie. Is this perhaps because you're dating her, Tim?
Well, I don't know. I think that's what attracted me to her originally, that she has sort of an alien quality, you know, and it was fun. It's fun because it's something I've actually never had before. It's like we can kind of fool around with the costumes and makeup and all of this without the pressure. You know, when you work with most actors, you're on the set, you got to, you know, hurry up and do all this, and we get to kind of play around with stuff, you know, on our own time, and that kind of helps think about things, and you know, and she's got that quality of that. She definitely has.
And looking back now on the Batman films, for which you did a couple of, you know, what's your final sort of hindsight take on the Batman saga, as it were?
He's a screwed up guy.
Fair play. And what's your next project? Another Batman film, perhaps?
No, I don't know. You know, once you turn off the cameras, I'm going to get a little sleep here and just maybe dream about the next project. I don't know.
No movies specifically in mind?
No, I'm still getting over this one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Tim, good luck with whatever you do, if you're actually awake.
Yeah. This
Fantastic.
is all like a strange dream.
Yeah, it is for me, mate. I can relate to that. Thank you very much, Tim Burton, everybody.